shooting, Zachary? Oh, well, you must have had a good reason, didn't you?
I guess I did.
Well, then, babe, what was the reason?
I can't say.
Oh, babe, why not?
Well, I'm sort of protecting someone.
Oh, then you mean you didn't really shoot him?
No, I shot him all right.
Oh,
I meant to kill him. I was aiming for his heart, but I guess my hands were shaking and I just got him in the stomach.
Now, that's Sissy Spacek playing a somewhat eccentric Southern belle who's confessing to her equally eccentric sisters, played by Jessica Lange and Diane Keaton. These three Oscar winners have joined forces in a most unusual new movie called Crimes of the Heart. And on this week's sneak previews, we'll see if the finished product is worthy of its terrific cast. I'm Michael Medved.
And I'm Jeffrey Lyons. And in addition to Crimes of the Heart, we'll review Three Amigos, the comedy western starring Steve Martin, Chevy Chase, and Martin Short, taking on a gang of Mexican bandits. Heartbreak Ridge with Clint Eastwood as a grizzled Marine sergeant trying to whip a platoon of recruits into shape. And Modern Girls, a comedy about a trio of Los Angeles women whose night on the town turns into a series of disasters. And we'll take a look at what's new on video cassette and on pay TV. But Michael's up first with his review of Three Amigos. And Michael, I might add, congratulations on your fatherhood, and now you can do it for the family,
Yes,
Michael.
Jeffrey, that's good incentive indeed. Now, in Three Amigos, comedians Steve Martin, Chevy Chase, and Martin Short play a trio of cowboy stars of the silent screen who are invited to visit a tiny village down in Mexico. Now, they think they're being asked to put on a Wild West show, but actually, the villagers have cabled these three movie heroes to ask for protection against some real-life bandits. In this scene, the Three Amigos have no idea what's going on, and they think that these sleazy riders are just part of the show.
It's a pleasure working with you.
Well, you dirt-eating piece of slime, you scum-sucking pig, you son of a motherless goat.
Who are you? Wherever there is injustice, you will find us. Wherever there is suffering, we'll be there. Tell us we will die like dogs. What? Tell us we will die like dogs. You will die like dogs.
No, we will not die like dogs. We will fight like lions, because we are the Three Amigos. Arriba! Ride, caballero! Ride, amigos! Arriba! Arriba!
Arriba! I like these guys. They're funny guys. Arriba! Just kill one of them.
Now, naturally, the Amigos run away, but before they find the courage to come back and defend the beleaguered villagers, they make time for a tender musical interlude by the campfire. The music, by the way, is by Randy Newman, who also co-wrote the screenplay that helps our heroes poke fun at some of the most beloved conventions of classic westerns.
Lip balm?
Now, Three Amigos has its share of amusing gags like that one, and it has some energetic, hell-bent-for-leather action scenes that are well staged by director John Landis. But overall, the movie is a disappointment because the characters are so surprisingly weak and drab. These three very colorful comedians are wasted on a script that tells you nothing at all about these amigos, who they are, or how they wound up as movie stars in the first place, or how they differ from one another. Now, part of the fun of watching any story with three different heroes is watching the contrasts, the individuality of each of them coming out. But here, all you get is three indistinguishable, vaguely goofy guys just mugging for the camera, and that's hardly worth the price of admission.
Indeed, that was the only funny sequence in the movie as far as I'm concerned, Michael. When you see Chevy Chase team with Steve Martin and even Martin Short, you expect outrageous comedy. You don't get it here. This movie takes no chances from start to finish. That's why it failed for me.
And one of the disappointing things about it is, in a way, you know, you have to be conscious of the fact that John Landis right now is on trial.
The director.
The director, John Landis, in the Twilight Zone case, and you want to see him almost make a comeback. He's had some films that have been up and down in his career, but this movie isn't going to do it for him.
Well, not only that, Michael, Steve Martin produced this picture. He said he wanted to make a silly movie, and that he did, I suppose. But in producing it, he was probably so generous to his other two co-stars that he pulled back, and you don't see the wild and crazy guy.
You're absolutely right. They're so unwilling to try to upstage each other that everybody is just completely bland. There's some good things in the movie, and I think it has to be said. Alfonso Arau, who plays El Guapo, who's the big villain in the picture, is very good, a fine Mexican actor. The costumes are great.
But you see, that's one of the things I didn't like, Michael. I thought the stereotype was tiresome, the Mexican bandido, the women in the simple-minded women in the village who don't know that these guys are just screen heroes and not real. I objected to those stereotypes. We've gone beyond that now.
And the point is, I think you can say that this same idea of taking movie cowboys who have to learn how to become real cowboys has been done much better before in movies like Hearts of the West and in movies like Bronco Billy by Clint Eastwood.
You want to see a funny movie that's a spoof of Westerns? Blazing Saddles remains the best one, Michael. Well, our next movie now is called Heartbreak Ridge, in which Clint Eastwood plays a Congressional Medal of Honor winner, an aging gunnery sergeant transferred back to his old outfit in order to whip a group of lazy recruits into a crack platoon of fighting gyrenes. In this scene, just after roll call, Eastwood realizes his orders will be difficult to execute.
The Marines are looking for a few good men. Unfortunately, you ain't it. Now we will blaze a path into battle for others to follow. Surrender is not in our creed. Let's hear you say that.
Surrender is not in our creed.
Louder. Next time you leave this base for R&R, you'll be collecting your pensions.
Surrender is not in our creed.
Louder.
Surrender is not in our creed.
Hoorah. Strip off those T-shirts.
Say what? What was he talking about?
You'll all wear the same T-shirts and not at all.
Come on.
What's your name, Marine?
Lance Corporal Forgetty, Gunny.
Shouldn't litter, faghetti. It's ecologically unsound. What's your name?
Aponte.
Yours.
Profile.
Yours.
Quiñones.
Yours.
Collins.
All right, colitis. Cojones. Prophylactics, Ajax. You boys are handsome. You ladies look like models. In fact, I want your hair high and tight tomorrow morning. That's everybody. When you start looking like Marines, you'll start feeling like Marines, and pretty soon, damn it, you'll start acting like Marines. Right face, forward, march.
And later, when he's off duty, Eastwood has a reunion with his ex-wife, Marcia Mason, who lives and works near the base. He hopes to win her back, but in this scene, as they go over old times, it's clear she's still bitter about their marriage.
Now listen, we have to understand each other before we go any further.
Are we going any further?
You're going to be out of the Corps soon, but you are gung-ho, Tom, through and through. You always will be. And there is no room in my future for a Marine.
I'm not sure I like the way you say Marine.
I can say Marine any damn way I choose. I earned that right.
That's right, you did.
I lived in a rat hole when they were bringing those boys home in those flag-draped metal coffins. I don't think I got a wink's sleep in '68. Do you remember that year?
Yeah, I remember.
I'd wake up in the morning and turn on the television set. I'd eat dinner in front of it every night, eyes glued, hoping to catch a glimpse of you on the news and then praying that I wouldn't. And then I would crawl into bed and I would wonder, oh, where were you? What were you doing? Were you alive? And I had no way of knowing.
I guess there's a lot of things that work harder on a woman than being shot at.
I swear that not knowing was the worst. I'm sorry.
That's all right, baby.
In Heartbreak Ridge, Clint Eastwood's performance as an old soldier dreading the thought of retirement is excellent, and I'm not normally the biggest fan of Eastwood's movies, but producer-director Eastwood has made just a familiar whip the kids into shape movie around that character, the type of film you've seen every time Hollywood goes to war. And to depict the recruits, furthermore, as just moronic goof-offs instead of the tough volunteers in today's Marine Corps is absurd. Also, the character of the ex-wife lamenting her marriage to a leatherneck is as old as the Corps itself. Heartbreak Ridge is like a platoon of Marines marching in circles, but heading nowhere.
And Jeffrey, I could tell exactly where this film was heading, and I think it marched there in a very, very effective way. The movie starts out with Clint Eastwood as an alcoholic. He's just been on a binge. He's in jail. He's down and out. And then it ends up with the invasion of Grenada. You see that this man who is a wreck, who has sacrificed his whole life for service of his country, is actually indispensable. You see a progress in the character in all sides of it.
You know, I was disappointed because the first part of the movie was so intriguing. There Eastwood is in jail. There's a Congressional Medal of Honor winner who has come down to just being an alcoholic. I thought I would get an in-depth character study. Most of the middle part of the picture, in fact, almost all of the picture before they recreate the invasion, is just him whipping these guys into shape. I've seen that 100 times.
But the relationship that he has with these guys is much more complex than you see before. And you may see you've seen it 100 times. Jack Webb in the DI or John Wayne in Sands of Iwo Jima. This is very different because it's so much more a layered character. You can see that he's self-destructive, that he's handicapped in relationships. They're beautiful little touches when he's reading in Cosmopolitan sort of advice to the lovelorn.
Yeah, believable, right?
No, to try to have some means of winning back his ex-wife.
And they exaggerate that. His character stands there waiting to be dumped on by his superior officer, treating a Congressional Medal of Honor winner that way. No wonder the Marine Corps brass saw this movie and objected to it.
Okay, first of all, the Marine Corps brass is ridiculous to object to the movie. They object because it's not a recruiting film.
That's your judgment.
And average leathernecks, and they've interviewed a lot of them, average Marines love the movie. Look, you said clearly, Jeffrey, before, you're not one of Clint Eastwood's biggest fans. I think anyone who is in the slightest one of Eastwood's fans is going to love this movie and enjoy it.
It disappoints me even more to see a good performance by Eastwood, wasted as it is here. Of course, Marines are going to like this picture because they'd love to have a sergeant like that.
As a director and as an actor, I think you should be proud of this picture.
Michael.
Our next film is Crimes of the Heart. Now, it's based on a Pulitzer Prize-winning play by Beth Henley, and it's about 3 oddball sisters in Mississippi. The oldest is played by Diane Keaton, and she nurses her sick grandfather while she worries that no man is ever going to love her because of her shrunken ovary. Now, there's also a Hollywood sister, played by Jessica Lange, who's just returned home after a nervous breakdown and after a failed singing career. And then there's the youngest, played by Sissy Spacek, who's just shot her abusive husband in the stomach, then offered him lemonade while he writhed on the floor. Now, in this scene, her 2 sisters have come to get her out of jail.
Lanny, I'm free.
get out of jail, the sisters enjoy a family reunion and a nostalgic evening at home until Jessica Lange suddenly decides that she's going to go out with her former beau, who's nicely played by Sam Shepard. And after that announcement, the three women are soon railing at one another.
May I, could I ask you something?
What?
Well, I just wanted to ask you just why? Why did you take one little bite out of each piece of candy in this box and then just put it right back in there?
Oh, I was looking for the one with nuts.
The ones with nuts?
Uh-huh.
Well, there are none with nuts. This is a box of assorted creams. All it has in it are creams. Meg, if you please look right here at the top of this box. It says right here in clear letters, assorted creams, not nuts. And besides, I want to tell you something. It was my one and only birthday present to me. It was my only one.
Well, Lenny, honey, I'll get you another one.
Well, that's not the point. I don't want another box.
What is the point?
Well, the point, okay, I don't know what the point is. It's just that you just have no respect for other people's property. You're just always taking whatever you want. Why, do you remember how you always had layers and layers of jingle bells sewn onto your petticoats while Babe and I only had 3 apiece?
She's going on about those stupid jingle bells again.
Well, that's right, Meg, because it's a specific example of how you always got what you wanted.
Oh, come on now, Lenny. You're just upset because Doc called.
Oh, who said anything about Doc Porter? Well, I have long since given up worrying about you and all your men.
Hey, listen, I know I've had too many men. Believe me, I have had way too many men. But it's not my fault you haven't had any. Or maybe just that one from Memphis.
I'd be tempted to say that Crimes of the Heart is this year's Terms of Endearment, except that I like this new picture much better than that Academy Award-winning melodrama. Like Terms of Endearment, Crimes of the Heart is a movie about the unshakable bonds of love that hold an eccentric family together, despite all of the conflicts and the difficulties that come up. The 3 magnificent actresses in this film create wacky but absolutely irresistible characters. Their big emotions, startling humor, and some profound insight about the relationship between sisters. Crimes of the Heart is so fresh, it's so different and wonderful, that if you let yourself be scared away by some of its off-the-wall content, then you'll be cheating yourself of one of the best movies of the year.
Better than Terms of Endearment? Are you kidding, Michael? This is a stagey movie which has its characters talking about off-camera events and off-camera people, which has to resort to flashbacks, as if we can't keep those characters in our mind. It has made a clumsy transition from stage to screen. How can you even compare it?
I think that director Bruce Beresford, who also did Tender Mercies, another movie that I loved, has done a wonderful job adapting this from the stage. I mean, I remember that you were the one who liked Night Mother, right? Sissy Spacek's other movie this year, which was very enclosed, all in one scene. Here, you see the people that they talk about. It's visualized, it's beautifully dramatized with a sense of place.
That was a serious drama about an important confrontation. Night Mother. This movie is so wishy-washy, whether it's trying to be a comedy with drama or a drama with comedy.
It's a bittersweet comedy.
Meaning it can't make up its mind. And also, Michael, Diane Keaton does not hold up here. She plays a Southerner. She's so unconvincing compared to Jessica Lange, and particularly Sissy Spacek. She's a fine actress. It was a serious weakness.
Diane Keaton has a much more difficult part, and you see her character grow and change and alter as the movie goes on. And as far as it being a bittersweet comedy, it's like all life, like all families. There's serious situations that have comic edges to them. It's a beautiful film. People are going to love it.
I don't think so. These are 3 self-pitying people who deserve
and 3
the
Oscar
misery.
nominees.
Perhaps, but they deserve the misery they bring upon themselves. I don't think you'll like them. I don't think you'll like their predicament or care about their situations. They still may get Oscar nominations, Michael,
I think they
but it'll
certainly
be
will,
a very weak year if they do. Our next movie is Modern Girls, also about 3 women, but they're 3 roommates who spend every night out on the town in Los Angeles seeking Mr. Right. But this night, one of the girls has stood up her date and takes the car. Now, stranded at home, her 2 roommates hitch a ride with the jilted date to the local club. And in this scene, the girls try to cheer him up.
Sorry about Kelly, Clippy. Don't hold it against her, okay? It's really not her fault.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, hell, forget about her. I mean, we're all great girls. Kelly might be prettier, but... Margot, tell him which one of us is sexier.
You're 10 points sexier, I'm... what?
So, no, I'm 6 points sexier and she's 10 points... It's true, the Cosmo quiz told us. Come on, let's dance. Why not?
Can you dance?
Are you sure it was only 10 points?
You better look again. You do this every night?
Last Tuesday I had a cold.
Well, later, Kelly shows up and apologizes to Clifford, and the group heads off to another club to try and salvage the evening. But they have to start by getting out of the parking lot.
Not been a great night for Clifford.
Do something! Come up! Hurry up! What are you doing? We're getting soaked! Let me do it!
I'll get it. It's just not working.
Oh, I can't believe this. Oh. Things could be worse, Flippy.
How, Cece? How could things be worse? I'm supposed to be on my dream date tonight. I bought a great bottle of wine and nobody got it dropped and a dog named Venus drank it. I wear a $30 tie and now some psychotic back at the gloom room is probably using it for a noose. And most of all, I borrowed this really terrific automobile and not one of you stupid girls is even impressed.
Even the car looks annoyed. Modern Girls is a major career setback, you see, to everyone involved here. With its unendurable acting and invisible screenplay, it demeans single women by depicting them as frivolous, self-centered, nasty airheads whose biggest fear is spending the night in a bed alone. It's just a lame attempt to make a punk version of American Graffiti, as it takes us from one depressing new wave club in Los Angeles after another, dodging every imaginable sort of creep the night can spew out. Modern Girls is one of those movies which deserves a very special spot at the bottom of the junk pile.
And Jeffrey, I think it deserves a spot near the top of the junk pile,
Being
actually.
too kind, Michael.
It's still the junk pile, because partially there are good actresses in this movie. Daphne Zuniga was excellent in The Sure Thing. Virginia Madsen actually emerges from this very bad movie with some of her dignity intact,
How?
playing a sad, drug-addicted girl. I think she's rather convincing in that role.
You said drug-addicted. They do take drugs, and it's trivialized. And boy, does that make me angry.
Yep.
And also, there's a scene where there's a gang rape,
Right.
or almost a gang rape. She's on a pool table, and that really happened up in Rhode Island, and this is trivialized
And it's
also.
supposed to be
it's
a
as if
joke.
It's something that
It's
happens.
not funny.
How can
None
they
of the
do
jokes-
this?
none
They're
of the jokes
insane to
are
make
funny.
movies like these.
Yeah, one of the problems with the movie also is there's so much talk about these girls, talk about nothing but sex, they talk about nothing about being promiscuous, but the fact is you don't ever really see whether they're doing anything or not. You don't know whether they are actually engaging in this life or they're just all talk and no action.
And where's the audience for this sort of movie? One guy she picks up at the end is sort of this closet sadomasochist, and they get her away from him at the last minute. Who is the intended audience for this picture?
I think we can forget about this picture and move on to what's new on video cassette, because there are several new movies that are going to be making their way to your video stores this month. And as usual, there's a wide range of quality. But this time, there's no question at all as to which title in the new crop is the best of the bunch. Akira Kurosawa's 1985 epic Ran has been justly hailed as a masterpiece and one of the great films of all time. It's a sweeping vision of the King Lear story set amid the brutal pageantry of medieval Japan. But if you're looking for something much lighter, then there's Alan Alda's good-natured comedy, Sweet Liberty. It's about a southern college town that's invaded by a Hollywood movie company led by a swashbuckling, womanizing star played by Michael Caine.
You know what my problem is? The way they smell. The perfume of their skin, it's so intoxicating. I told my wife I'd never even look at other women if only I could cut off my nose. What did she say? She said I was aiming too high.
This month's pay TV movies offered two very special films, both of which we considered to be among the best of last year. The Emerald Forest, directed by John Borman, is a stirring true story about a father's desperate fight to win freedom for his son who had been kidnapped 10 years before by Amazon Indians. It's a thrilling adventure. Twice in a Lifetime, meanwhile, is about a middle-aged Seattle steelworker who jilts his wife, Ellen Burstyn, for a local barmaid. It is a series of poignant, intelligent emotions and searing confrontations. The cast and direction are impeccable.
I don't know how to talk to people. I don't know who I am, what I mean anymore. I don't know what I'm doing here. And when I figure that out, then I'll be ready to go back to work. But right now, I'm not. So just do me a favor and give me a little time to myself, all right? Just leave me alone.
What a good movie that was. But now to summarize our opinions on the movies we reviewed this week. We were both disappointed in Three Amigos, a bland, predictable comedy western. But we split on Heartbreak Ridge. I thought it was a stirring character study showing Clint Eastwood in top form as both star and director. But Jeffrey found it just a tired reworking of a moth-eaten Hollywood formula. And we split strongly on Crimes of the Heart. I thought it was one of the year's best films, a moving testament to the love that binds three eccentric sisters. But Jeffrey thought that the characters were so self-pitying and self-destructive that they will leave audiences cold. And we both disliked Modern Girls, a clumsy, incompetent comedy about single women on the prowl.
Next time, we'll review Little Shop of Horrors. That's the musical comedy starring Rick Moranis, who finds true love with the help of his man-eating plant. And No Mercy, a romantic thriller starring Richard Gere and Kim Basinger, fleeing a killer in a Louisiana bayou. That's it for this week's Sneak Previews. I'm Jeffrey Lyons.
And I'm Michael Medved. So until next time, don't forget to save us the aisle seats.
Sneak Previews repeats tonight at 11:30. Stay with us now for delicious Chinese recipes, including ants climbing up a hill, on the Frugal Gourmet coming up next, followed by the 8th International Tchaikovsky Competition at 1.